Hi everyone, I'm Katie Friedman, founder of Flexible Working People. Thanks so much to everyone who is joining us live today and hello to anyone who's watching us on replay, because I know that we get a lot of people watching on replay who can't make it live. So thanks so much for joining. I'm really excited to be doing this session today. We are joined, you can see there's lots of us on the screen. Normally there are just one or two of us. Got a whole team of lawyers and Larissa who recruits for Lionshead Law. I'll just do a brief round the screen intro. We've got Belinda Lester who's joining us, who is employment lawyer and founder of Lionshead Law, who are actually one of our Flexible Working People partners. So we're really excited to have them join us today. We've got Larissa Jaffe, who recruits for Lionshead Law. And then we've got two of their consultant lawyers. We've got Joanne Frizz and Sarah Stock. Jo is a commercial lawyer at Lionshead Law, and Sarah is an employment solicitor. So welcome to all of you. So Lionshead Law, just to give you a little bit of background, is a consultancy-based firm, and they operate really differently to many traditional law firms. I know and I see and I hear from lawyers every day in the Flexible Working People community that the traditional law firms don't necessarily embrace flexible working, and there's a lot of presenteeism, and it's quite difficult, particularly for female lawyers, I think, to get the flexibility that they need, and a lot fall out of the profession at a certain point in their careers and then don't necessarily find their way back in. So having different types of firms that embrace sort of flexibility, and it's really important. And Lionshead Law has always been a virtual law firm. They operate really differently. They've been conducting online meetings and have been paperless for over a decade now. So they really do understand what it means to be flexible. They offer lawyers a really different way of working. And that's what we wanted to talk about today. So traditionally, Belinda joins us to talk about legal matters. But we thought, given that the firm has such a different model and mode of working and offers lawyers such an incredible way to do their job but still work flexibly and have ownership around how they work and who they work with, that we wanted to focus today's session more on what a great firm they are and sort of lift the lid on the firm and how they work. So welcome to all of you. I think we'll start with Belinda, because she founded the firm over a decade ago, and it'd be really interesting to hear, Belinda, your journey, because we haven't really talked about that before. So what led you to set up Lionshead Law? What were you doing, and sort of what was your motivation?
So I actually qualified as a lawyer quite late. I didn't qualify until I was almost 31 years old. And by the time I was only 5 years qualified when I had my first child at 36. And I'd worked really hard to qualify, and I was having a baby, and I just didn't really know what to do. Flexible working wasn't really a thing. It wasn't even a word that anybody used back then. And I remember going on maternity leave. I was 5 years qualified. I was at a firm in the city, and I just thought, I don't know what I'm going to do. I know I don't want to go back to that firm where I'm going to have to get into town at the crack of dawn in the morning. I'm going to be, working all day. I won't see my child. But similarly, I've worked really hard to become a lawyer. I do not want to give this up. So that was when the very first seeds of doing something different started. And what I did back then was I decided to set myself up as an independent consultant. And whilst I was on my maternity leave, I contacted loads and loads and loads of small firms throughout London that didn't do employment law. And I contacted all of those firms and I said, look, you don't offer employment law to your clients. You probably don't get enough of it to justify employing an employment lawyer. Why don't you market it a bit? In any employment matters that you get, just parachute me in and I'll come and do it for you. That way I got the benefit of their professional indemnity insurance, and I could take on whatever work I wanted to take on and not take on work that I didn't want to take on, and I could be at home. And that for me was a way of balancing my needs as a new mother with my real strong desire to carry on my career as a solicitor. And then purely by chance, one of the firms that I approached said, we've been looking for an employment lawyer for years. We haven't found one that we want. Please come and work for us. And I said, no, I don't want to come and work for you. That's why I'm doing this. I've got a 1-year-old and I'm not going back into a 9 to 5 in an office. on the back of that, they said, well, what do you want? What do you want? What can we do to persuade you to come and work for us? And I said, well, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll come in to work 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Monday to Thursday, and I'll work from home the rest of the time. They said, why don't you work part-time? I said, do me a favor. I'm not going to work part-time. I'll be working full-time and you'll be paying me part-time. That's not going to work for me. I'll come into the office 10 to 3 Monday to Thursday, but I want you to pay me for 5 days. And I want you to make me a partner. Anyway.
Not much then. You didn't ask for much, did you, Belinda?
Not for much. They didn't take me on as a partner, but they made me a partner after 12 months. And that was where I realized that, we don't ask, we need to, it works. You can do it. It takes a bit of guts, a bit of balls, but you can do it. And then from there, I moved to another firm as a partner on exactly the same terms, but doubled my pay. And I was really happy at that firm, and they were great. They genuinely were great, and they genuinely did embrace my flexibility. But I knew that there was a level I was never going to get beyond. I was a partner, but I wasn't really a partner. I was what they call a fixed share equity partner, which was equivalent to being a salaried partner. And I knew that whilst I needed this flexibility, that was going to be the lid, and I wasn't going to get beyond that. And I had so many ideas and so many, I was so enthusiastic about the work that I do and about providing a service and how to go about selling it. And I thought I could give my ideas to the partners, or I could go and do it myself. And the motivator then was that firm then was going to be bought out by a very big firm. And I just thought, that's it. I'm not going to go and be a cog in a little cog in one of these big firm wheel with all my ideas and just have that squashed and end up just being another lawyer drudging along. And that was the impetus for me to go, right, I'm going to start my own. So I started Lionshead Law when my kids were 6 and 8 years old. I had no real following and I just went for it. And it has been the best thing I ever did. And because I started, at a time in my life where I needed huge flexibility, where I didn't have a massive client following, I was a relatively junior. I wasn't massively junior by then. I was 44 years old, so I'd been qualified quite a amount of time. But, I wasn't at the level I would have been if I'd have been a man at that age, put it that way. In terms of being able to go out and build a book of clients. So I knew that if I did it and I could make a success of it, I could help others do the same.
So how long were you doing that on your own? And let's just talk quickly, because there's a lot we can cover, but we've got 20 minutes left for everybody. So let's start with, what was the model that you set up and why was it different?
So obviously, initially, it was just me. I was a model of one. And I decided that I didn't need an office and I couldn't afford an office, frankly. This idea of being virtual was primarily cost driven. And it was also driven by the fact that I had 2 young children. Why would I want to waste my time going and commuting somewhere to work and commuting home again when I could be there? And clients, I could speak to them on the phone, or I could have, I was a very early adopter of a video call. It needs must. And, out of that necessity came the idea that actually, do I ever need one? Do we ever need it? The first lawyer who joined me after I was 2 years on my own. And then I was joined by Melissa, who's still with the firm. And then Joe. But we grew organically and quite slowly when the children were little. My kids are now big, 19 and 16. And my growth, my personal journey has changed. And so my focus has been able to shift more on growing the practice. Again, because of my journey and the fact that what I needed back then 10 years ago and what I want now are so different, enables me to see the potential in lawyers. I'm not looking for a finished product. You know, so many consultancy-based firms insist on the finished product. Have you got a full following? Have you, you know, are you at a stage where you can hit the ground running? You know, they really want to do as little as possible for their lawyers. They just want to slot them in. Here you go, off you run. We might give you some work, but we expect you to have built a practice. Because I've been on this journey myself from start to where I am now, and because I know that my career is still going and will grow and evolve even more as my personal life changes, I recognise that is something that we can offer the lawyers that join the firm too.
Okay, thank you. So tell me, before I hand over, what is it that you offer lawyers who join Lionshead Law?
So we offer, obviously, like most law firms, or like all law firms, we offer the back office, the professional indemnity insurance, the risk and compliance, all the horrible nitty-gritty stuff that nobody wants to do, and the stuff that's expensive. You know, professional indemnity insurance is really expensive. So yes, you could set up on your own. Anybody who's entrepreneurial and who's got a number of years experience under their belt can set up their own law firm, and people do. But the lovely thing about joining a firm like Lionshead Law is that you are effectively starting your own practice, but you have the support of a team. You have all of that compliance sorted out. You get your case management software, you get your online legal library, all the things that you would get in a traditional law firm, we provide. But on top of that, you get I mentor. I'm personally invested. You know, I don't just say that. I mean, I hope that Sarah and Joe will back me up, that I am really, you know, it gives me a great deal of pleasure to help the lawyers who join the firm and to see them build a career with the firm.
And so you started as one. After 2 years, Melissa joined, and then Joe. And where are you now?
So we're just about to take on our 8th. And this last year has really been, you know, since Larissa joined, I decided in the last, really only probably about the last 9 months, I thought, right, I'm ready now to step it up. I've built a lovely base with this practice, and I'm now ready to, you know, move on. Brought Larissa in, who's been phenomenal, just absolutely phenomenal in helping me to grow the practice and find the right lawyers and give me amazing ideas. She's just been, you know, the great thing is that you've got to recognize the things that you're good at and the things that other people need to come in and help you do. And so since Larissa has joined, we've really grown quite quickly. And I do want to grow the practice, but I don't want to make it, I never want it to be a faceless corporate. It will only ever be a certain size, and then I will stop.
Great. Okay, so we're going to come back to you, but I just want to hand over now to Joe and Sarah, who are both consultant solicitors within the firm, and hear from them, you know, what your experiences have been, because there's nothing better than hearing it from people who have joined and have their own real experiences to join. So maybe I'll start with Joe, and then Sarah, you can both answer. What was it that sort of motivated you to join or attracted you to join Lionshead Law, and just talk a little bit about your experience?
So I got to the stage, I'd been a partner quite a long time in a West End law firm. We had a merger and they offered me a new role, but my family was quite small. My youngest was just starting primary school, and the role that I was offered meant basically a 4-hour-a-day commute. And I stood at Paddington Station, saw the departures board saying cancelled, 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 and thought, something's got to give, otherwise I'm going to give. Everything's going to fall aside and the wheel's going to come off and spin in all directions. And so I was looking for something new, and I'd known Belinda a long time. And she said, well, come and join Lionshead Law. You'll get all the flexibility you want. You build your own practice. And this idea took root. And it took a little while. It took a few months of me thinking, is this the right thing to do? And then day one, I started a January day, classic thing, had horrible cold, opened up my computer, and I had one client that I knew had some work that they were going to send me. And now, we're several years on. I have clients all the time and people who come back to me regularly. Commercial law is transactional. So people come and go, and then they'll go quiet for a while, and then they'll come back and say, can you help me? Can you help my friend? Or they've got a new business and they've moved on. So we have an awful lot of repeat business. In fact, I think I'm right in saying that we've got something like 92 or 93% retention with our clients, which is incredible for a law firm, because clients do tend to shop around, not just on price, but also on experience. But it is really about the relationships. And the one thing that really does distinguish Lionshead Law is the relationship it builds with its clients. It's got this motto of always there for you. And it really is. You know, we absolutely are. The idea is that no one contacts their lawyer just to have a little chat. They contact them because they need an answer straight away. It's normally in a time of stress. And the experience that we have between us all and the lawyers that Belinda chooses, know that we can get the job done commercially, rather quickly, and, with a good eye for what's coming next as well. So Belinda was brilliant. She helped me build my practice. She opened up all of her clients. She knows an awful lot of people. She works with a lot of people, through her employment practice. And she opened up all of that to me. There was none of that, let's get to know you first of all. It's, I already know that I want you. You've joined my firm. Therefore, straight away, let's get some work coming into you. And very much supported me with, this is how I built my practice when I started. And, I've borrowed some of those ideas. I've gone back to Belinda and said, what about? And sometimes she said, yeah, absolutely. And other times she said, well, you might want to consider something else, in which case I've, taken the advice, because generally that's part of the information sharing that we do as a firm, listen to other people's ideas and get their perspectives. So very much like a lot of people thinking about the what next in their career, it was that sort of leap of faith, but I absolutely would not ever consider doing anything else now, because I have my own relationships with my clients. I'm absolutely honest with my clients. I bring my whole self to work. I never did that. When I was a partner in a West End law firm, they didn't even know that I had kids. My colleagues did not know that. Now I can say, I'm not working this afternoon at sports day. And they'll go, oh, great, hope you have a nice time. That's my client's response and my colleague's response as well. And that's the human side of working. And I think we all deserve it, because it's much more rewarding. But at the same time, my clients know that, once I've done the sports day, I'm going to be straight back to their work, because that's the balance that we have. But that's the flexibility. I choose my work as well. So if there's a client that I don't think I can help, or it's slightly outside of my comfort zone, I'll say no. And I'll ask my colleagues, and I'll open up my contacts as well, and I will find somebody else to help that client, because I don't do something that I'm not comfortable with. I'm not being pushed work that is just churn work, which happens in a lot of law firms, that if you're part of the team, you're just expected to pick anything up. And although that's great and it keeps you current, it doesn't necessarily mean that you get to do the work that you want. And part of being a consultant means that you do get to do the work you want. You get to do the work you're good at. And so that's been a real bonus as well.
Thank you, Jo. That was really, really good insight. There's lots of things I'd like to deep dive with you into, having heard what you've had to say. And one of them we'll touch on again, but I think the interesting points, there were a few there, but one was that you started with one client, and how Belinda really helped you to develop your client base and open doors, and that's so critical when you join a consultancy firm. I think there's a fear that you're going to be all on your own, and the whole point of this is that you've got a team around you of support and people who are going to help you to find your way. So Sarah, let's hear your story. It'd be great to hear kind of what led you to Lionshead Law and your experiences.
Sure. Yeah. So as you say, I'm Sarah Stork. I'm an employment solicitor. And I trained and worked in city law firms for about 10 years before joining Lionshead Law. So when I was at city law firms, I really always enjoyed kind of the aspect of having client relationships. And I did actually bring in some work when I was in city law firms, which is a lot harder to do when you're marketing a big firm rather than yourself. So I really like the idea of building my own thing and having that personal relationship with clients rather than working, with a big team and finding it harder to bring in business. So like everyone, before I started, I had a meeting with Belinda who said, yeah, so day one, you'll sit at your desk and you'll start to build up your practice. And I thought at first, how will I do that? So on my last day of working at my last firm, which was a big city American law firm, actually, I packed up my things and I got a call, and the call was from my first client. And it was an individual client, and now I have work from both individuals. So I work for employees who have employment issues and employers who I help with their businesses in terms of, everyday things, and they're often on retainer. So this client was an individual, and I went straight into it. I actually couldn't believe that I had a client straight away from leaving my last firm. And it's just grown straight away, through word of mouth. It's just grown organically. I've been with Lionshead for about 2 years. It's given me the autonomy over my work and life kind of balance, which the thing about working in a traditional law firm is, of course, billable hours, and the fact that you have a target every single day to put in billables. And that's great when there aren't any other things in your life. But for me, and particularly, I think through COVID, and I have 3 very young children, putting in 8 chargeable hours at an American law firm just became really just too much. So now I really enjoy, the relationships I have with my clients, the fact that I get a lot of satisfaction when I bring in work, when I get great results for my clients. I know it's me who's done it. I've built it up myself. And on top of that, I have my own autonomy. So I'll have really busy days, I'll have quieter days, and I'm not putting in my timesheet. So all in all, I've really, really enjoyed it. I've built my client base, and it will continue to grow. It's really exciting that the firm has grown and will continue to grow. And we all bounce ideas off each other, which is brilliant. We are virtual, but we can also meet up in person. So you have that kind of both being on your own and having your own business and working within a team. Support. Yeah. So it's a really, really friendly firm. And as Jo says, I think you can be yourself a bit more. You can say, I can't do that right now because of this. And but we all work hard and we all support each other. So it's a really, really lovely place to work.
Great. Just before I move on, I've just got a question for both of you, which is just around that sort of anxiety around leaving paid employment and starting up on your own, and that, am I going to make the money that I was earning, and what does that look like? And you've both said that you started. I'm a big believer of leap and the net will appear. And I think that you're both really great examples of that. You've got to take a jump. You've got to take a leap of faith and believe in yourself and the firm that you've gone to know that it will work out, and it has for both of you. But just briefly talk to me about sort of that anxiety about leaving paid employment, because that's a real jar for people who are thinking about doing this. And I want to hear from you two what that felt like and how you've got over that.
Yeah. Well, I think that it is a bit of a leap of faith, and depending on what salary you're coming from, it is quite difficult. But what comes also with employment is annual leave, and the obligations towards your employer. And as a consultant, it's a very different relationship. So for me, I'm able to take a day off when it's school holidays, or work a few hours when a client requires me to do so, and not work other hours. So even if you take the leap from your salary, you're also having other benefits. And the other thing is, when you're a consultant, you see the benefit from the work you've done straight away. So you get paid for the work you've done. So when you're busy, when you're busy and you're an employee, it doesn't make any difference normally. You're just being paid the same amount and you're working all hours. When you're a consultant, you see the money straight away.
Yes, I get that. Jo, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, it's a really valid point that Sarah makes. You get your money straight away because you're a consultant and you're paid within the month of the work that you do. You can anticipate what work you have coming in, and you can also anticipate the holidays you're going to take. School holidays are always longer than 4 weeks annual leave, and how do we cover that? We absolutely tear ourselves to shreds. But here, this is your work and you're being paid for it. And in terms of the financial reward, it's better. Of course it's better, because what you're not doing is sharing the income that you make for a firm with everybody else in the firm, and paying all of that firm's overheads, and the equity partners who've already left paying for their pension, and paying for the the office that you walk across the atrium and the security guard is sitting there, and you're not paying for any of that. What you're doing is you're building your business, and you're being paid for the work that you do. And if you want to work harder because you want to take some time off, you can do that too. If you say, actually, it's a bit of a difficult month, I know I've got lots coming up, I've got some stuff going on at home, and so I'm going to say to my colleagues, can you take this work on instead? And that's possible as well. And that's because you are running your own business. The safety net is being with a firm like Lionshead that actually supports you to do that.
Love that. Brilliant. Thank you, ladies. Okay, so Larissa, you've been very patient while we've all been chatting. I'd like to bring you in now.
Yeah.
Hello. Take yourself off mute.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, I was brought in about 9 months ago to kind of help Belinda grow Lionshead Law. I've been doing recruitment now for over 20 years. I'm now showing my age. And for me, it's very easy to sell something you really believe in, which is why I think we've managed to gain 3 or 4 people literally in the last 9 months. I think, again, from my recruitment experience, I can honestly say that what Belinda offers is she allows a safe space for people to be vulnerable. And I think that's really, really a really selling point of Lionshead Law. She allows you to be autonomous if that's what you want, or she allows you to be vulnerable and ask for help. Even little things like, as Joe and Sarah said, on the first day, they open their laptop and they're like, okay, what do I do? Some people don't even know how to use LinkedIn, which is such a small thing. But, if people have never done it, coming from a large firm, they had people do it for them, they don't know what to do. But all those little things we can help them with. So I think that is an amazing asset that Belinda offers. From a recruitment point of view, we're looking for people 7 to 8 years PQE in employment, commercial law, family, private practice. Again, the format of coming to join us is very informal. It's not even an interview, it's a meeting. We want you to come. We want you to come. There's no hard sell. You can take as long or as little as you want. I spoke to somebody to give an example in July, and they've just started now. So we recognise that it's a big decision, and that's absolutely fine. We want people to come who want to be there. So there's no hard sell like in other places I've worked. When you do recruitment, it's very like pushy. It's not like that at all. We're open to any questions. If you want to speak to, there's no set format. Initially, if you're interested, reach out to me via email or LinkedIn, and then I can have a chat with you, explain what we're about, and you can tell me what you're looking for. And then if it matches, I can then put you in touch with Belinda, or you can speak to somebody in the team. It's not an interview, it's a meeting. As I said, we want people there who want to be there.
Yeah. And I think that, it's important to say that Lionshead Law might not be right for everybody. And
that's absolutely fine.
And the people that you're bringing on might not be right, vice versa. So it goes 2 ways. So I think
that's why it's a meeting.
Conversation.
It's a conversation. It's a 2-way conversation. We want people who are right for us, and we want people to come who want to come.
Amazing. So let's talk about, you've talked about the process a bit. So it'll be kind of informal meetings, meeting Belinda, meeting with you if they want to meet with people in the firm, with people like Joe and Sarah, and you're open to people from, tell me again, the practice areas that you'd be interested in hearing people. Lawyers.
Employment, commercial, immigration, family law. I know Belinda's very keen to get somebody on the family law side, private practice, those kind of areas I think we're mainly focusing on. Okay.
So if people are interested, Larissa, should they can contact you directly or Belinda and have a conversation?
I've got an email address. I don't know how we could get it out.
What we'll do is we'll drop some links into the thread when we're done with the recording. Yeah. And we'll make sure that we've got LinkedIn and so on. So Belinda, before we close, let's come back to you.
I was just going to jump in and say I wanted to just mention a lawyer that joined recently who was a returner, because I think that is something that we really are where we really are different, because I know it's a journey and I'm not looking for a finished product. which is why it's not an interview as such. It's a meeting and an understanding. Are we on the same page? We've recently been joined by an employment lawyer who had a very successful career, and she worked in one of the top firms. And then when she had her children, she had a complete career change. She came out of law completely, didn't feel that it worked, that sort of environment didn't work with her with young children, and she retrained and became a Class 6 teacher. And she's super intelligent, really qualified woman who needed to she just needed to get her confidence back. And she took that leap and has joined Lionshead Law. We've taken that leap with her. And, I think she's really enjoying it. I think she was a bit terrified, because anybody would be. It's terrifying anyway, coming from a job, but to come back to this profession after a break is also very daunting. But I want to stress that, if you're the right person and you've got the right attitude, and I know that you've got those skills and that expertise, even if it's a bit rusty, if it was there before, it can come back. This firm, unlike most others, will support that for the right person.
Lovely. So you've talked a lot about the right person. I wrote that down earlier, because if you're the right person, can we just try and encapsulate what the right person is? So for anybody listening, what sort of, not really the skill set, because I think if you're a lawyer, you've got the right skills, but what would make the person the right person for your environment to be successful?
The right person is somebody who really cares about doing a good job. As an illustration as to what I think it's easier to tell you what the wrong person is. So during COVID, I interviewed a guy who was put to me by a recruiter, and he had an interview over Zoom during lockdown, and he was the perfect lawyer for a big firm. He was very confident. He told me about his massive billing and he was, he gave all this sort of interview that you would give for the sort of firm that wants who has presenteeism, who has billable hours, who has timesheets, who wants, has targets. And I said and he was, and he was quite ruthless. And I said to him, you know what, you haven't read anything about this firm. You don't know anything about us, because if you did, you wouldn't have come to this interview like that. Our tagline is always here for you. And that's because we're always here for the client, but we're also always here for each other. I want people who are self-starters, who are motivated to work on their own, but who also care about other people, who want to be part of a team because they want to be, not because it's enforced, and not because they have to have a. And
should they be quite entrepreneurial or commercially minded? Because I think there's a setting up on your own is you've got to have a particular type of mindset, which is.
I think. Do you know what I think? I think even if you don't think you're entrepreneurial. Okay, even if you think, I don't know if I am entrepreneurial, but I just need a lot of flexibility. What I would say is that there is nothing that brings out the entrepreneur in a person than sitting at a desk and having to generate their own work, right? And it's amazing that once you're actually presented with, when you're putting yourself in that position, it's actually extraordinary how the entrepreneur in most of us does come out. You suddenly find yourself being quite enthusiastic about what you're doing again. And when you're enthusiastic about something, you talk to other people about it. And it's amazing when you talk to other people enthusiastically, that brings clients to you. It just does. I would say, I mean, obviously it doesn't suit people. I'll tell you what, it wouldn't suit somebody who really wants to go to an office. Okay, who really wants to be working physically with other people, because that ain't how we work. So, if that's your thing and you want to work as a consultant, you might be better off at one of the consultancy firms that has an office where people do go in and maybe hot desk and they go in and work with each other. That's absolutely fine. If that's what motivates you, if that's what you need, then this isn't the right firm for you. But if you're somebody who wants to feel part of something, who wants to feel part of a team, who likes other people, who wants to be able to pick up the phone, but is also more than happy to set their own working day, sit down at their desk when they want to sit down at their desk, generate their own work, have a huge amount of autonomy, but feel that there is a support network, then this is the firm for you. If you're somebody who really cares about giving a fantastic service to clients, who really wants to build relationships, this is the right firm for you. If you're somebody who wants to grow, who feels that, okay, I know I need this degree of flexibility now, but my children aren't always going to be this age, and I still want a career. I want to be in a firm that will nurture me and help me grow my practice as my personal circumstances change.
Great. Okay, well, we're out of time, but I think we've covered a lot. I think we've got real essence for who you are, why you're different, and why lawyers would want to work for a firm like Lionshead Law. You are different, but in a way that will really, really suit so many lawyers who want that aspect of autonomy and flexibility with all the support and mentorship that comes with being part of a great team like yours. So I'm really happy that we've done this today and just sort of lifted the lid on who you are and how you work. And I hope that that's kind of sparked a light of excitement in any of the lawyers who are watching, who have been thinking that they want something different to what they've got now, who are working maybe for more traditional firms, who, are more interested in billable hours and bums on seats and, all those things that we know that law firms are very keen on. This is a completely different mode of working, and it will excite lots of lawyers. I know lots of lawyers who I know personally who are looking for an environment like this. So it's really good just to hear it from you and hear it from Joe and from Sarah and from Larissa and obviously you, Belinda. I think if anyone's got any questions, if this has sparked an interest, then obviously reach out to any of the ladies. I'm sure they'll all be happy to hear from you. We'll drop some links into the thread so that you know how to get in touch. Belinda is pretty active in the Facebook group community. I think, Joe, you're there too. Larissa, Sarah, I'm not sure if you are, but please join. And thank you all so much for joining today. And if anyone's got any questions, you can also drop them in the thread, and I'm sure one of the team will answer. So thanks so much. Good to see you all. Have a good rest of the day.
Thanks, Katie.
Thanks, Katie. Bye.
Bye.